Welcome to InterPartyConflict, the podcast where we answer your questions so you can have the best tabletop gaming experience possible. My name is Gabe.
And my name is Jeff.
And we're going to answer your questions today. But first, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, how are you doing today?
Today?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, how are you doing yesterday is what I meant to ask.
Oh, wow.
No, just ask about today. Don't worry about yesterday.
Okay, because that's a really tough question.
I said don't worry about yesterday.
Oh.
Today.
All right. Today, I'm doing all right.
Cool. How are you going to do tomorrow?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay. Good answer.
This is a good bit.
Yep.
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I did some work on my computer situation over the weekend and pretty happy with it.
Cool.
Although my brand new computer is still blue screening every once in a while, and it's probably just like when I installed something, it didn't install right, and so I have to go through one thing at a time, wait for it to see if it still blue screens, and then when it does, then go, okay, it's not that, and then check, do the next thing, and so on, which is aggravating, especially when, you just want to play the game or what, you just want to, I just want to use the computer.
For me, I'm almost done with my classes, which is going to be so nice to not have to wake up in the middle of the night. Like for most people's sleep schedule, imagine having to wake up in the middle of the night twice a week when you have to work the next morning and then go to this stupid class where it is a waste of everyone's time.
Yep.
And nothing important happens and it's just awful. I almost didn't go to class today because it's the last episode. It's the last day before the final, and we don't have any more quizzes, just revision for the final. I almost didn't go because I knew you're allowed one absence, but I didn't want to take the chance because it's like maybe I forgot to sign in one day or something. I don't want to go through all of this and then screw it up because
you don't want to have to go through it again because of one tiny little thing or something like that. Yeah, you don't want it to go to waste. Like all this agony that you've gone through, you don't want it to have been a waste.
Right. But today, so I went in, all that we did was go over the practice test that we went over last week. We just went over it again because not everybody was there last week. And that's it.
Yep.
It's a whole class. That's why I got out of bed in the middle of the night, quote unquote, middle of the night, to go to this stupid class.
Yep.
To go over a test that we already went over.
So it's a test that you've already taken?
Well, it's a practice final. We didn't actually get graded on it. It's just last week we got this practice final. We did some of the stuff and then went over all the questions. And then this week we just went over the questions again.
Okay.
That we already went over.
At least you really know those questions now.
I guess. Anyway, so in 2 days, by the time this episode comes out, I will be done with my classes and I will be a much happier person.
Yeah, well, I'm glad.
But anyway, so I guess we're here, ready to record an episode. You want to jump into this?
Sure.
Okay. Jeff, I want you to imagine that you're on Facebook.
Okay.
You're on your computer.
All right.
You are browsing your favorite discussion group for your favorite role-playing game. The discussion group is it's called the Dragon's Horde, is what they call it. And so you're on there, and you notice, hey, one of your biggest complaints about this discussion group, not just this discussion group, every discussion group for your chosen hobby, is people spreading misinformation.
Sure.
Somebody will ask a question, and then you'll get 10 different answers, 9 of which are incorrect. And you know for a fact that those 9 answers came from the fact that people are quoting house rules, or they're quoting old editions, or whatever. When, simple question has a simple answer, but then you get all these answers that are not correct because people aren't bothering to look up the actual answer before or whatever. So anyway, you bring it to the group's attention like, hey, maybe we should check the answer because it's an easy answer to check before giving the wrong answer because, it's a simple question, simple answer, whatever. Yeah. So there's this one guy. You can tell from his user picture that he's very tall. You think he might have a skin condition because he's kind of scaly.
All right. Uh-huh.
But, he is a chromatic type of scales.
Sure.
Every time in some of his pictures, he's like breathing fire or acid or something. You can't tell. He's got a weird filter on there. And so anyway, this one individual, he starts justifying giving the wrong answer. And then when you ask him, well, why'd you give the wrong answer? He starts talking about how much money he has in his hoard. He's like, I got this big pile of gold. If you want me to research the right answer, maybe you should pay me a bunch of gold. And you take great offense to that because the amount of gold he has no bearing on whether he should give out incorrect information or not. Sure. So you bring this guy to task about throwing around his pile of gold. And long story short, you find out that apparently he's an admin. And next thing you know, you're banned. You're banned from this discussion group. You are banned from the Dragon's Horde. So today's Dragon's Horde item was submitted by Chris B via email. And this is the Ring of Tarawa. And he didn't really type it out in like a stat block sense. It's just kind of like a couple paragraphs. I think I'll go ahead and read it because I think I like the little... I like the he explains how he created it and so on. So Chris says, I do not have many homebrew items to share since I'm still new to this, but I'll tell you about one in my current campaign, the Ring of Tarawa. And he says that the Tarawa is a stylistic combination of the Latin words for earth and air. I first designed the ring as a band with mysterious runes that allowed my wife's level 1 monk to form the air in front of her to become a projectile. This replaced her using darts, removing the need to buy new supplies every so often, and upped the flavor of her attacks. Later on in the story, she and the other PCs came into contact with an ancient forge. When they dipped their weapons into the forge, it caused their weapons to take on additional properties. For my wife's monk, who is now level 5, that meant the ring was absorbed into her hand and became a tattoo extending from her finger up on her arm. Mechanically, the ring's 1d4 damage became an addition to her main attacks, rather than an attack requiring an action to perform. So I think he's saying in addition to... I think it does an extra d4 damage, I think.
Yeah, probably just like with her being a monk, maybe like her unarmed strikes did an extra d4 or something like that.
Yeah. I think he's saying that she could just do this like ranged attack all the time and it does extra damage.
Sure.
I think is what he's saying. I had a blast designing the weapon and seeing her incorporate it into her character's personality. I plan on eventually having characters come across 2 other forges in the greater multiverse, augmenting their weapons and abilities even further.
Cool.
So it's a real simple item.
Yeah.
Basically, it takes the monk, who is kind of, depending on how you play a monk, monks can use weapons, but a lot of people like the unarmed portion of being a monk.
Yeah.
Lets you use ranged attacks that still benefit from being unarmed attacks.
Yeah.
And such.
Okay.
I think it's pretty cool. I also really like the theming. I like that it was a ring that eventually got like absorbed into her hand. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a simple item that got like tailored to a specific PC, and like that's a great way to make magic items. Is like, just if something you feel like the player would really enjoy or benefit from, you just put it in there.
Yeah. I think Bruce Lee, some famous martial artists, might have been Bruce Lee, might have been somebody else, might have been a whole bunch of people, they had like a technique where they could like push air, not like hard enough to deal damage,
right?
But you could like line up candles and they could like blow out a certain number of candles just by like pushing the air really fast or something. And that's what this makes me think of.
That makes me think of like there's like the air, they're like little air cannons.
Oh my goodness, yes, those are the greatest.
Yeah, because they're just like a little like tube cylinder thing with like a plastic bag attached to one end and like a slingshot sort of thing.
Something like that, yeah.
You basically pull it back and it just creates a little pocket of air that you then fling forward, and it like a little puff of air.
Yeah.
Well, like it went a decent distance. I
think the last time I saw one of these was at your house.
Yeah. I definitely had one at my parents' old place.
Yeah.
And it'll be like across the, like on the other side of the kitchen, across the living room, and be able to like mess up my dad's hair or something, you know, like. So
it's great when someone isn't expecting it, because it's not something, it's not gonna like hurt. It's not gonna, it's just gonna surprise them.
Right. It's just, you're just like, yeah, you know, like, I don't know. It's just air. It's not even like harsh wind or anything like that. It's just a like, what?
There was
but darts. In
the Savage Species book, which is a third edition book about turning monsters into PC races.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good book. There was a feat you could take in that I think it was called like Savage Wind or something. That
just sounds like a fart, but go on.
Okay, I guess so. Maybe, I don't know. Now I'm hoping it was called something else. But it was a feat that it just made it so that your natural weapons, which monsters would have, because it is a book about monsters, so a lot of the feats were monster related. It makes your natural weapons have a range of 20 feet. And I never knew how to visualize that, because that was all the text. It did not give like any sort of a cool description for how it worked. It's just your natural weapons now are ranged up to 20 feet. Could be that now you can stretch or something. It could be now like you have tentacles or whatever. But I don't know. I liked the idea of it just being that you just punch the air or slash the air and it just travels through it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you see plenty of times in, like, you know, anime and stuff like that where, like, you know, they cut through the air and it sends like a blade of wind and stuff like that. So it's not too hard to imagine, but yeah, it's sort of, if they're not super descriptive about it, it's like, what could that possibly mean? Like, because there were some like prestige classes and stuff, like it was like the War Shaper or something that basically lets you like, it gave you an extra 5 feet of reach because you were just like, kind of like shaping your arm to be longer or something like that. Or at least that, like, the illustration kind of depicted something like that. I think
so, yeah. I'm also, because this is the Ring of Tarawa and that's earth and air combined, I almost want to say that some of the attacks, if the target is on the ground, some of the attacks should come through the ground.
Right.
Like, you punch the ground and then like a giant fist comes up and punches them up from the ground over there.
Or I'm thinking this feels very like Last Airbender or something like that. But like I think it's like the Earthbenders where they would like stomp the ground and a rock would come up and then they would like punch the rock at their target.
That's pretty cool.
Like that. So they like hit the ground and a rock juts out and then you use the air to project it at somebody.
So that's really cool. I really like the potential theming for this item. I think it'd be really cool to try and I don't know, it'd be really cool to try and come up with what sort of cool ways you can flavor it.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, like I said, it's a pretty simple item. I don't really think we need to say much else about it. Good job, Chris B. Sounds like your wife's having a good time with that item. And
for sure.
Let us know if you come up with those other those other two forges that you were talking about.
Oh yeah. Let us know how it progresses.
Yeah. So that was the Ring of Tarawa from Chris B via email. That'll do it for the Dragon's Hoard today. Jeff, if anybody wanted to submit Dragon's Hoard items or stories for the funeral pyre or questions for us to discuss, how would they get those to us?
They could send us an email at interpartyconflict@gmail.com or join us on our Interparty Discord, which you can find the link at our Facebook or our Reddit.
Yes.
Subreddit.
And then I also want to tell everybody that our show is brought to you by our wonderful patrons. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. It is, for anybody who doesn't know what Patreon is, it's a platform where you can pledge to donate a certain amount of money per month to your favorite creator, in this case, us, hopefully. And then in return for giving, $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month or anything in between or anything above, I guess, then you get some cool stuff in return. We've got outtakes. We've got fantasy fiction that I write every month. We've got a monthly bonus podcast called InterPatronConflict, where we talk about various things. Last month we talked about Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, right.
For like 2 hours. We talked about the whole movie.
Yeah.
We also have a monthly Roll20 game, which I'm going to try to get going in probably during that week that I have off this month.
Okay.
And then also I will write about your character for our fantasy fiction as well. So we've got some great rewards on there, some great patrons. Our patrons have been so helpful. We've been able to pay back all of our hosting, all of our equipment. I'm going to buy some new equipment. Tons of stuff we've been able to do exclusively because of this Patreon.
Right, yeah.
So it's so great to have our patrons on there. Thank you to all of our patrons that are out there. And hey, listener, if you are not a patron, you can become a patron for only $1 a month. You'll get some cool stuff and help the show while you're doing it. So go and check that out, patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. Check it out, see if any of the rewards appeal to you. And if so, think about donating. And then just one more thing, check out the other podcasts on the Crit Nation Fellowship. Check out Crit Academy, critacademy.com. Justin, Ian, and Brandon make new and reusable content for players and DMs alike. They have a few products on DM's Guild, one of which I helped write, the Unearthed Tips and Tricks book. They've also got some archetypes and such on there that they've made, all of which have some great ratings and great some great reviews. So check all those out. Also, D&D Character Lab, Garen and Dan make characters every week and then pit them against each other and debate whose is better. Mm-hmm. And then Brute Force and Ignorance is an actual play podcast. They've been on hiatus for a little while, but they are going to be making some new episodes, probably with some new characters and new story and such. But very excited to see what they're able to come up with.
Cool.
Enough of that. You want to get into some questions, Jeff?
Yeah. Our first question comes from at Aurelia Podcast, or at Aurelia Pod on Twitter. Mm-hmm. They say, "Hey, Gabe and Jeff. Hello.
What's up?
What do you think about digital tools like D&D Beyond and Hero Lab?"
Yeah, we've actually had this on the list for a while because I hadn't used really any like digital tools for a while.
Right. And then we recently, both of us have used D&D Beyond recently.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, so I at least for building characters and stuff like that, I use an app. It's just called 5th Edition Character Sheet.
Yeah, it's just a very evocative name.
Yeah. It's just Gabe asked me like I mentioned it earlier and I couldn't remember the name, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it's something really just simple and straightforward. Like, yep, 5th Edition Character Sheet.
Yeah,
it's nothing nothing crazy, but like I found it very helpful because it has like most, if not all, of the official stuff on there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how legal that is, but whatever. Like I use it all the time to build characters or get like character ideas going and stuff like that. And then like, it automatically levels stuff up for you, and it just kind of, gives you little pop-ups and things like that. Like, like, okay, now when you level up, or you chose rogue, so choose from these, 2 of these or 4 of these skills or whatever.
Sure.
So it's really easy. D&D Beyond is also very nice and easy, but you gotta it has the SRD stuff on there plus a few extras, but then everything else you have to have bought. Not only have you have bought the PDF, mm-hmm. you have to buy the PDF through them. So if you bought the PDF from some other site, I don't think you can just be like, oh, I own it now.
Right.
There's not a serial code or anything. Like what should happen is the book should have a code in it.
Absolutely.
And then you type in the code, and then it gives you access to that. And then like, obviously, like with any other products key sort of thing, once you've entered it, mm-hmm. They can't, nobody else can use it. But I get that that's difficult because if you're selling a book in a library or in a bookstore, somebody can just open it up, scratch off or whatever they got to do to get to the key. So like, I get that it's not that simple.
Sure.
But I shouldn't have to pay for a thing twice.
Yeah.
To get a service that not only is like, you have to pay more for. This is like a sort of type of service that they've been promising for editions. Mm-hmm. Like if 4th edition was supposed to have like these like crazy tools, like digital tools and stuff like that, which there were a few. There was like a character creator that actually was pretty good. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It wasn't too bad. And like you could add all the stuff to it. But I think, again, you had to pay for everything.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we're not the first people to complain about D&D Beyond. In fact, we're very far behind the curve because it came out, like 2 years ago or something. Yeah. And, like I said, I'm just now beginning to use stuff like that. So again, we're not really saying anything new, just our personal experience. I think that D&D Beyond as a resource for looking stuff up online is great. Mm-hmm. As far as the app goes, I think that the app could be really, really good. But like Jeff was saying, you got to buy everything through the app, and that makes it worthless to me. I mean, like, worthless beyond a certain point.
Right.
Because I have these books. I'm sorry. I am not going to buy more books. Yeah. I'm also not going to buy, I'm not going to buy the PDF unless it's like super duper cheap when I have the physical books.
Right. Yeah.
I know there are certain reasons you might want the PDFs over the physical copies, but personally, if I can only buy one of them, I'm going to buy the physical copy. Mm. If there is a sale and maybe they're selling like, the whole library through D&D Beyond for like $50, maybe I would buy it. But no, I was on there.
Yeah, it's like
several $100s.
Yeah. They do have like a bundle, and they're technically cheaper as a bundle, but it's still like several $100 to get everything on there.
I get it. I get that they want, they don't want it to be free. I know that they don't want it to be super accessible without paying for it, but guys, come on.
Yeah.
You have to do something for people who own the books.
Right, yeah. I mean, there is an option, there are options on there where you can buy specifically just classes. So you don't have to buy all of the everything.
Yeah.
You can buy it in pieces, what's relevant to you at the time. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know.
Even still, I would rather pay the lump sum than be nickel and dimed for every little thing.
Exactly. It's like, well, if you're gonna nickel and dime.
If this existed from the beginning, that's one thing. If it was very well supported and offered everything that you wanted out of it, that's one thing. But it didn't come out for several years after, so a lot of people already had tons of the, most of the books by the time this came out, and it was a big slap in the face.
Yeah, it's like here's this thing that we could, that didn't, like we waited to, or they might not have waited. Maybe it just took them that long to come up with something that was actually usable. But like, okay, so here's something. Like, I own a video game, and
whoa, you own video games, Jeff?
So like, I'll buy a video game, and then like it'll be on Steam, and then it'll be on sale on Steam or something like that, and I'll buy it on Steam so it can be part of my Steam collection.
Sure.
So I mean, like, this isn't something that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Where like they, it's available on a platform like that, and like, so I'm not a stranger to double dipping like that.
Sure. I've bought Dark Souls like 6 times.
Right. Exactly. So, but I mean, Steam has been around for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have any signs of leaving.
And it was very criticized when it first came out.
Sure.
People hated it for the first 3 years.
Yeah, but like now people are off the walls when a game isn't on Steam.
Yeah.
They are so livid. And like, I agreed that they should be upset in certain cases, but at the same time, it's like, well, I mean, like if it's still on PC, it's on PC. But like, I could go into the Epic game launcher thing. We're not going to go into that.
I have a video that is a pretty good criticism of people's response to that I'll put in the show notes.
Yeah. But in my case, where I do double dip into Steam, but that's because it has it's been around for a lot longer. It has a lot more support. They don't have perfect track record, but who does?
Yeah.
It's convenient. I know it's still going to be around. I'm not worried about losing my game. Like, people have that criticism, like, well, what if they go out of business, and then what happens to all your games? And I'm like, I'm sure they'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And if they don't, if them losing business, if them shutting down their business is so abrupt, that's probably like something real bad happened.
Yeah.
Like something real bad happened, and like there's not a whole lot they can do about it, and that's just the risk you take of living on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. But D&D Beyond, because I know, like, there was I think the whole 4th edition
D&D Insider,
D&D Insider. It's like, what happened with that?
It was a huge, huge debacle.
Yeah.
They promised so many things with D&D Insider.
Yeah.
That, spoilers, most of which never came to fruition at all.
Right. So I can't trust them. So why, I'm not going to pay for the same thing again so I can use this one thing that they were late to the game on, and they don't have good track record in this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I can't justify paying more money for something I already have just to use it in a convenient fashion.
Sure.
When I can just go download a thing anyway. anyway.
I know.
I mean,
know.
I don't want to advocate piracy.
I would love to be able to support Wizards of the Coast. They just have to make it not hurt like heck.
Yes.
Trying to do so.
Right, exactly.
They have to work with me or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. It's like I would love to give them my money if they were doing things that I was happy with.
Yeah.
It's like, cause I like the majority of the product, but I just can't always get behind the company as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, D&D Insider seems to be a pretty good tool.
D&D Beyond.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Oops. So D&D Beyond seems to be a pretty good tool. Like, it does look like they've done a good job with it, as far as I can tell. It's pretty dang easy to build a character and stuff.
If you have the resources on it, like if you have the books and such, I'm sure it is awesome.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it, it is great. The like little trial or whatever that I did use, it just has like the
SRD stuff.
Just the SRD stuff. Like it was really cool. It was real easy to use. But again, I'm not going to spend several $100s. I'm not going to spend more than $50 to get all the stuff that I already have in book form.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm just not going to use it much beyond just looking up, spells and stuff.
And it's weird because with some of it, like when you're building a character and you go to like pick your spells, it will give you a list that includes things that are not included in the SRD.
Okay.
So like you can see like, oh, it has Searing Smite.
Yeah.
As an example. And Searing Smite, I think, is in like Elemental Evil or something like that. It's not in the SRD.
Yeah.
So like it's on the list, but like you can't really click it because it'll basically just take you to a link to go buy
the thing,
the book or whatever. And it's like, well, okay, it's sort of aggravating. But then when you go to like pick a feat, they don't even show you a list. They only give you like 2 options.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, what about all the other it wouldn't give me the options of feat because feats are a variant rule. So they're only going to appear in the book under the variant rules, even though there's a whole freaking chapter on them. So it's just sort of like, okay, even if you didn't give me exactly what it was, but you just give me a name on a list, I'd be happy because then me as a person who owns the book could then reference that in the book. But because they're hiding it from you completely, if you don't own that PDF on that, website,
right?
Like you can't even see that it is an option. So like, I feel like if they like having it on the list, but not being able to like read the full details of it, I understand. But not having it on the list at all, it makes like it's like that. I feel like if you're gonna make it right by the people who have bought the book and then you came out with this thing, you should at least be able to say like, oh, okay, maybe even give like a page number or something. It's like, so like, oh, if you do happen to own the book or PDF from another site or something, you got it through a different source. Yeah, you would be able to like reference it in the book in some way.
Now I just did a quick check, and it looks like there are 2 types of subscriptions you can get to D&D Beyond. And I'm trying to check and see, does that give you access to the content, or do you have to buy that on top of your subscription? Because one of them, the more expensive one, the master tier, it says it allows you to share all of your unlocked official content with other players so that content doesn't have to be unlocked individually. I'm not sure if that means that you have to buy that stuff separately. I don't know. And I don't feel confident enough to start making a judgment. Because I was going to say, hey, if there was like a monthly thing that gave you all of the stuff, that would be one thing.
Yeah, give you access
Maybe that's what that is. Maybe it's not.
Well, I think what it's saying there is like if you're the master tier or whatever, if you own everything, you can basically you can give your players who are of the hero tier. So you are paying...
Oh, hero tier removes ads.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Wizards, what are you doing?
Right, yeah. So me as the player would be paying $26 a year or Is that what it says? Yeah. So $15 for every 6 months, or $26 a year, or whatever. You get the hero tier, which just removes ads, lets you make as many characters as you want, stuff like that. So it the things that they limit only because they can.
Yeah.
They give you unlimited, like ways to make characters, but they don't give you access to the books.
Mm-hmm.
And then the master tier, which is twice that in cost, makes it so if you
basically means your whole group can have all the stuff that you already have.
So if you as a DM own all the books, your whole group doesn't have to each individually spend $500. You can share it with them, but then at the same time you're spending money. You're still like, it's a subscription thing.
The more I look into this, the less I like it.
Yeah, I really.
I was going to offer several suggestions that I think would make this a lot more palatable for me personally. However, I see that they are already doing the opposite of all of those.
Right.
So I was gonna say, because I didn't realize this thing had ads. I guess I wasn't paying attention in the short time I used it.
Right.
I was gonna say have all the books on there, but have there be ads. No, there's already ads.
There's already ads, and
I was gonna say have there be
pay to get rid of them.
Have there be a monthly subscription, and then have that give you all of the content, like what the character creator did in 4th edition. The character creator being the one worthwhile part of D&D Insider.
Right.
Sorry, the one part of D&D Insider is what I should have said.
That's very true.
So they should have done it like that, in that you pay the subscription and then you get this app that has all of the information in it, all of the books. But no, it seemed, again, I could be wrong. If so, I apologize. I don't want to spread misinformation like I was complaining about earlier.
Right, yeah.
It seems like you do not actually get that just from the subscription.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, I really think Wizards should have just taken a bath on it, let you have the digital books if you subscribe, and then or whatever. I don't know. I really don't.
Maybe
I really don't like that.
Like not even access to the like full PDFs themselves, but even if it's like a small subscription, but you could use the tools with access to all the stuff. So like,
yeah, even just letting you create all the characters you want for like with all the books, all the options.
Yeah.
For $26 a year, I think that's pretty darn reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so let's think of that. How long has 5th edition been around?
Like 5 years.
5 years.
5 or 6 years, something like that.
5 or 6 years, and it's probably going to be around for at least another year or two. At least,
at least.
I'd say at least another year or two. So that's what, like, we'll say 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years. At like $25 a year? What is my math? $200.
So that's like $200.
$200. So that's what, $5 for, or like how much is a book nowadays?
It's about 5 or 6 books.
5 or 6 books.
And I mean, let's be honest. The average player is not going to buy 5 or 6 books.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think that maybe in a group you might have, each player might have a player's handbook.
Right.
Maybe an extra 5 or 6 books on top of that for the group.
Mm-hmm.
But most players, yes, there's going to be the one player that buys every single book that comes out, but they're not that's not the average.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, you could still be making good money, and like you'd probably be making more money in some cases.
Because more people would be willing to do that.
Yeah, because like, and then on top of that, there are people who are going to want the books.
Yeah.
Like, just because they have access to everything online doesn't mean they're not going to also want to have the book on hand. There are going to be people who want to buy the books and have this.
You know something?
What?
If it was $26 a year to have all the information, I'd still buy the books.
Exactly. I would
have both. I would have a subscription and buy the books, and I would love it.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that, because like I like having the books. They're pretty. They're like a lot of love goes into them. And I mean, at the very least, I want to have at least a player's handbook, if not have an extra one on hand. Like Skylar's got one and I got one. Like, we just like it's, you can never have too many players' handbooks at the table,
right? It just seems so misguided.
It does. Well, yeah.
And sorry, I know this is a question asking more about more than just the D&D Beyond, but I think now that I have actually used D&D Beyond a couple years after everybody else was complaining about it, I'm beginning really seeing
we want our turn to complain. Dang it!
I guess. I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier, but I haven't actually used Hero Lab. I've looked at it a little bit. If I recall, I think Hero Lab has been around since 3rd edition.
Yeah.
I remember, I think Jay used it.
I'm not even sure if I know exactly what Hero Lab is, because all I'm thinking of is that like that 2D like
Hero Machine is
Hero
what you're
Machine,
thinking of. No, that's something different.
It was like a little. You were able to make like a little visual representation of your character,
like portraits of your characters and such. Yeah, I love Hero Machine.
It was basically like a
paper doll thing,
exactly,
but for D&D and superheroes.
Right. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. Like you would make characters and that was cool.
Yeah. But Hero Lab, like from what I do know about it, seems pretty good. I mean, it seems like it's got a lot of stuff in it, but I haven't used it, so I don't know like what sort of pricing or anything. Other than that, I don't know. There are tons of free apps out there that are none of which are like perfect, but they're better than paying hundreds of dollars for books that you may already have.
Right.
Wizards, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come back.
Yeah.
Just come back.
I mean, with subscription stuff, like you can go back and forth though, because like Adobe, like Adobe and all like their creative suite stuff and everything like that, you can't own it anymore. You have to subscribe. Like
really,
yeah. You can't own Photoshop anymore. Yeah, you have to like pay a subscription to use Photoshop,
which just means people are just going to pirate older versions of it.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it's possible there's like you could buy like the super duper professional version and have access to it, but it's like that's like a $700 or something.
In theory,
ridiculous.
You could just pay so many subscriptions ahead of time that it's like you have it forever.
It's like you have it, forever.
Until the heat death of the universe.
Right. So I kind of go back and forth, but that's different in this case because you could still buy the book and own the book and have the book.
Yeah.
And so you could on top of the subscription or instead of the subscription. So like even if you stop the subscription, you still can have a book.
Yeah.
You don't lose access to that information. You can still go out and buy the book from your game store or whatever.
D&D Beyond's, sorry to harp on D&D Beyond again. Its pricing method works great in a world where pirated PDFs don't exist.
Sure.
And I'm not telling anybody to pirate PDFs, but people are going to pirate PDFs.
Yeah.
There is, and when that is so easy, when you can, I don't even know if I should say this, but when you can literally just go to Google and type in the name of the book and then PDF, and boom, you have a copy of the book right there for free. It makes no sense to charge even half price.
Yeah. You don't have
PDFs.
to, like in a lot of cases, you don't have to torrent stuff anymore.
No, you just go to Google and type in the name of the book. And that applies to so many books, not even just D&D.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like it's like, jeez. Yeah. For something that isn't like a length, full length movie or something like that, you can just go on Google and somebody's got it like a link to their Google Drive or Dropbox or something. It's like, here, just download it. I don't care.
And like, again, I want to support Wizards of the Coast whenever possible, but they have to work with me. They can't make it this hard to do. They can't make me feel like I'm just tossing my money into a hole.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's enough for this question. So I mean, in theory, I think D&D Beyond is great.
Yeah.
However, in practice, it's real bad.
Yeah. I mean, like
if I did not own any of the books, maybe I would have gotten in on that and I would have felt better about it.
Sure.
But I already got the books. I'm sure a lot of people already got the books. If you're willing to take that plunge, I'm sure you're having a great time. But I'm not going to take that plunge. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So I think that'll do it for our questions for today. We've just kind of been complaining about stuff, but
yeah.
I don't know. We had to cover D&D Beyond at some point.
Sure.
So we took you to task. Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, we got a
multi-million-dollar company.
We got you. Well, they make millions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh man, if they sponsored us, I would sing their praises all day. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like the thing to do when you have sponsors is to still be honest about it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I would be honest. I want to support them again.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to have good reason to talk about how great they are. But
and like, when you complain about something, it's not always because you hate the
no.
thing.
In fact, I would argue you complain about stuff you love more than stuff you hate.
Sure, exactly.
Because most of the stuff you hate, you don't even think about it.
Right. And so
you don't like it.
But with something like this, it's like you want them to do good.
Yeah.
Because you like them.
I would love for D&D to become the biggest hobby in the world. It's bigger than sports.
Right.
I would love it.
That's why your parents yell at you, because they just want you to do good.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're charging so much, because, sports costs a ton of money. Sports makes millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's like, we should make $1 million because we're... Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, man, I would love $1 million. So let's move on to our social media discussion questions.
Okay.
Last week's question was, does your group often play out camping? If so, how do you do it? We only got a few responses, some of which fairly misinterpreted the question. No, hey, I understand why they misinterpreted it, and I like their misinterpretation.
I love it so much.
We'll get to that in a moment. Yep. So just got a couple on Facebook. Sean M says, I typically haven't unless there's a random encounter, which makes sense, because I asked this question because we just talked about this 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
And
we wanted everybody else's input on it.
Yeah. I feel like most people only do it when there's a random encounter. And I think, like you were saying, Jeff, you should try not to do that, because then your players always know.
Yeah. If
you only do it when there's going to be an encounter, when the DM asks where you're camping or who's doing watch, there's going to be an encounter.
Yep.
But anyway, Sean says, in my Curse of Strahd game I'm playing, the DM had us play out camping and took the opportunity to have us face a side encounter we missed or hadn't really taken the normal path to face people we knew existed and wanted to stop us. This was perfect for only 2 of 4 showing up. So it's because only a couple people showed up. So they had the side encounter rather than move on with the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Then he says, if there's a chance for good RP in my group, I'd absolutely let the players play it out and discuss between their characters in shifts. And I'd make sure to take notes. That's really important. If you as a DM, if you do, or I guess even as a player, if you do camping, take some notes.
Yeah, take some notes if there's if you guys bring up something, or even if I think because we talked about legends and stuff in that episode too.
Yes, we did.
So if you guys are discussing legends and things, write that stuff down.
Yeah. I honestly think that was one of our better episodes. I was listening to it at work a few days ago. We got some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think people could benefit from. Anything that's going to lead to more game, I think is a good use for that.
Yeah.
Trent says, first I read this as, do you play when out camping? We do. We play around the picnic table and have a few beers. Usually we bring a couple sets of dice and sheets. Takes no room. So yeah, a few people over on the Discord mainly, a few people said this, and I think that's an interesting way to take the question.
Yeah,
and I'm interested to hear the answer.
Exactly.
So no problem whatsoever.
Because the way you worded it, you can definitely take it that way, and it's not like oh silly you read it wrong.
For anybody who hadn't just listened to or recorded that episode,
right?
It could easily be misconstrued.
Right.
And then Adam B says, I always ask my players if there's anything they like to do during rest or camping. If yes, we play it out.
Sure.
So that's pretty good. Didn't get anybody on Reddit, nobody on Twitter. On Discord, Damien says, no, but our recording setup is portable, so potentially doing this summer has come up. So again, that was I took that as when you're out camping. And again, I think that's really cool.
Right.
Recording a podcast while you're out camping.
Yeah.
Also, just going on a camping trip with your
D&D group. Even if you're not going to play D&D, that's still, nice group activity.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like when a team or something goes on a retreat.
Yes, absolutely.
A bunch of coworkers or something, they go on a retreat or something. It builds morale and things like that.
I'm down for that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm always down for making friends. Everybody on the reality shows are I'm not here to make friends. I would love to make friends. Stiltskin Kupo 84 says, I have played with my wife and daughter while camping. I used an old man wizard's voice for an NPC, and it was getting dusk out. My daughter got scared, so I basically ruined that game session for her.
Oh no.
As for the group I normally play with, we usually roleplay camping for the first few sessions of any campaign until we run out of cool ideas for our characters to interact in new ways. And then we begin ignoring camp entirely for the remainder.
Sure.
As to the how, we normally appoint a cook and a hunter and a fire maker. unless someone has spells for that. Then if there's a bard, they describe their usual performance. If there's blacksmithing or a craftsperson, we figure out how much time it takes to make X amount of stuff. We let the wizards and divine casters indicate study or prayer and sleeping habits, and then we appoint a rotating camp watch in 4-hour increments. Oh, and we always have that same tired debate about how we would be able to justify knowing in character if the party thief is stealing stuff out of our bags while we sleep. We answer questions like, are you a light sleeper? Where do you keep your backpack? Are you storing any sharp or breakable objects in there? Are you using it as a pillow, etc.? You know that once you make this decision, you can't complain if you get woke up before your spells recharge, or if you get stomped on and something in there cuts you, right?
Oh, no.
So pretty in-depth response there. Covers both camping with your friends and also camping as your group, or camping in the game.
Yeah.
I think that's some interesting discussion about where you keep your stuff.
Yeah.
That's probably something that should be covered at some point.
Sleeping habits, things like that. Yeah, that'd be a neat little like peek into your character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because would you like keep all of your belongings close at hand when you're sleeping? Do you trust your party?
Sure.
That sort of thing. That could be interesting.
Really, any kind of minutia I'm down for as long as everybody's into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Deborah Soar says, I love rolling and giving them random dreams. Recently, the party was attacked during a long rest, and one character woke up after having an erotic dream interrupted.
Oh. He
played out fighting the entire battle and got inspiration for it. So yeah.
No.
That's interesting. Noah Wizard says, every time we camp out, I train with Gladio while Ignis makes us a meal. The meal will give us all a buff that will last through the next day. Then we all sit down and eat that meal while Prompto shows us all the photos he took during that day.
That's Final Fantasy 15.
Yes. And I would just like to call back to an episode we had a while ago about coming up with names and whether those names are stupid or not.
Right.
Not going to point out why I brought that up, but just saying.
So what was the last name?
Prompto, Gladio, and Ignis.
Prompto.
Yeah. Just everybody out there, don't worry. Your names are not that stupid.
Right. Don't sweat it.
Exactly. Or everybody's names are stupid.
Right. Like there's the whole thing with like Star Wars names. They're so
Star Wars names are so dumb.
Like
so dumb.
Oh.
Yeah. Damien did give an actual response, not to camping, but to camping.
Sure.
To answer the intended question, that really depends. The camp itself is kind of on the players, but I like to leave it open. I'll ask them if there's anything they would like to do as they are setting up camp or once camp is ready. Depending on the flow of the story, too, I also like to play out the night with watches as well. This gives the ability to do some mysterious world building for the players with things they see or hear in the distance. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any sort of world building or plot hooks you can do.
Yeah.
I'm down for that. And then No Wizard said one more thing. There's a DM's Guild supplement called Wrong Rests, which I've heard of. I think I heard about it on, might have been Crit Academy.
Okay.
Might have been something else. But it's basically a bunch of encounters for sleeping PCs. And I think that's really cool. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think all of them in the book, but also just in general, not all encounters are battles.
Right.
Sometimes when the players have a quote-unquote encounter while they're resting, doesn't have to be monsters show up. It could be. But I think you should also pepper in a weird phenomenon happens.
Sure.
Or they see a deer that stumbles on the camp and then freaks out and runs away.
Yeah.
Could be something as simple as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be an encounter every time. And if it is an encounter every time, then that kind of tips your hand and might get old real fast.
Yeah, because with the instance with the deer, it could just be like, that was interesting. Or like one of them could be like, oh, okay, shoots it with an arrow. Hey, free food.
There you go.
Whatever. Or the druid might talk to it. And be like, hey, we were looking for kobolds. Have you seen any? And it'll go, however a deer would sound.
Deer.
It would say, oh, dear.
So that was last week's social media question. This week's social media question is actually one that we did, I think, on our very first episode of the podcast, because I recently listened to our first 2 episodes. I listened to both those episodes.
Oh,
again. Yeah. The first episode in particular, the sound quality is noticeably worse.
Sure.
I think we got it down by the second episode. But anyway, the question is, favorite gaming snack?
Oh, okay.
So real simple one. We've talked about this, but if you would like to maybe revise your stance from 2 years ago.
I mean, I feel like that we've touched on like the traditionals, like Cheetos and Mountain Dew, that sort of thing. But I can't remember who it was on the Discord. Somebody brought up like healthy snacks. I think it might have been.
Oh shoot, yeah, that was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been
Peace Joy pancakes.
Yeah, I believe it was Peace Joy. And then I think Damien brought up like baby carrots and things like that. I was like, yeah, like go get healthy snacks or something. Cucumber sandwiches, man. Have you ever had a cucumber sandwich?
No.
Oh, they're so good.
I'll take your word on that.
I mean, it's just because it's just like plain white bread, and then it's just like it's white bread, cucumbers, and then like butter.
You know what I think? You know what I think would be pretty good if you put some meat on there, took off the cucumbers, and like deep fried it. That would be pretty cool. It's not just because we're getting to be old men, but I think healthier options do. I sound like a joke. Healthier options do sound more appealing to me now.
Right. Doritos and Cheetos and stuff, like just instant heartburn for me. So like
for me, it's I don't want my fingers to be all gross.
Well, yeah, okay. So yeah, there's that. There's like you don't want to get Cheeto dust on your books, on your D&D books. You spend a lot of money on those things.
Then you'll have to spend more money on the freaking D&D Beyond. So what if you get Cheeto dust on your PDFs?
Oh no!
What do you do then?
How do you get it off of there? So yeah, like that, or like something greasy and like. It's like I don't like drinking a lot of soda anymore.
Yeah. Oh like no.
So
no, Jeff.
I think like a nice, like a pack of LaCroix, and some cucumber sandwich.
All right,
it's so bougie.
I don't like LaCroix, and I love pop. I love soda.
Yeah,
I love soft drinks. Coke, whatever you want to call it.
I get bad indigestion. So if I drink too much soda, I get real bloated, and like my.
That's how you know it's working, Jeff.
My esophagus gets really upset.
Good job. Yeah, so I do still love, this wasn't really what I meant when I was asking for snack. I was asking more about like food rather than drinks, but I do still love RC Cola.
Yeah.
So good. I love soft drinks in general. Just they're seriously my favorite thing in the world. So sorry, small tangent. A few days ago at the library, a guy came in to talk about Faygo. Faygo is a local brand of soda pop.
Right.
Started in Michigan, still pretty locally in Michigan. They've branched out a bit, but I went to this presentation. My attention was rapt the entire time.
Steve sent me pictures.
Unironically super excited to learn about this brand of soda.
Yep.
I showed up with several soda-related questions, and then I came up with some more before the thing, because I was hoping there would be a Q&A.
Right, yeah.
There wasn't, but because the guy wrote a book, I bought his book, I got his autograph, and I also asked him the questions when he was signing the autograph. Unironically, I seriously think that drinking soda is my favorite thing in the world.
Sure, yeah.
It is so good.
Mm-hmm.
I do not ever want to give it up for any reason ever, which sucks because I really do need to lose some weight, especially I'm going on vacation in a few months. I want to lose at least a few pounds before my vacation. Yeah, and I know that the easiest way to do that, or everybody says, easiest is what everybody says. I know that a simple way to do this is to just cut out my pop intake, but that's the tough. Worst. That is the worst option to me. I don't want that at all.
Yep. Yeah, I've definitely lowered my soda intake. It's not gone completely, because when you buy lunch and stuff, and it's usually like you get like a combo and it comes with a drink, and I'm like, I'm not gonna just throw the drink away.
No,
and
I'm gonna drink soda. The whole thing.
It's delicious.
I want to drink that extra large Dr. Pepper every day.
so if it comes with my meal or whatever, I'll drink it.
Yeah.
But I don't go in for refills anymore, because when I was younger, I just to keep filling it up.
Right.
I go through cases of soda, over like a couple days. I drink an entire case by myself.
So good.
It is delicious. But no, I moved away from that, but now my problem is craft beers.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
So yeah, healthy alternatives.
Sure. I mean, carrots don't sound bad. I actually do like munching on a carrot.
Yeah. Although the loud crunching, you don't want anything messy and you don't want anything loud. That's why I suggested the cucumber sandwiches, because there's a little snap to them because they're cucumbers, but you cut them thinly.
Yeah.
And it's a sandwich. So it's finger food. It's not super messy, and it's not going to be like obnoxious to chew on or anything like that.
Sure.
I feel like having chips at a table, crumbs everywhere. You get the powder and grease everywhere. Everyone's crunching and munching.
As much as I like chips, I think they are probably a bad tabletop treat.
Good for like a normal get together party where people are kind of like standing around and like, you know, like you kind of have them off to the side. So like they go over to munch on a few things, you know, to keep their energy up or whatever. But like at a table, if it's in the middle, like you got like the bowl on the table, you don't want anything too messy.
Yeah, so I would say I think in our first episode I said now. I used to love now and laters. However, I haven't eaten now and laters in a while because they're not as good as they used to be. But I would say probably Oreos, I think, are always welcome. Yeah, I love a good Oreo.
Oh yeah, Oreos are they're Milk's favorite cookie.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe like cheese and crackers, but if they're not going to be sitting there for a while, cheese, if you let it sit out for too long, it gets a little weird.
Sure.
Gummy bears, maybe.
Oh yeah, gummy bears.
I like gummy bears.
Yeah, yeah, and then like they're a little chewy. You might get a little gum smacky in there, but I mean, like, you know.
When it's not your turn, eat some gummy bears.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that shouldn't be too bad. Like gummy bears, gummy worms, like, it's like gummy kind of candies.
Yeah, just like something's gonna last a while.
What's that? What is that term? Charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
God, that's like meat and cheeses, and crackers and stuff like that. Like there could be cured meats might get a little greasy and messy.
Maybe,
that sort of thing. We're getting real fancy and bougie here.
I guess
this is dinner party
conflict again. All right. So I mean, I don't really have any great answers, but we'll see what people come up with.
For sure.
Next week. All right. So that'll do it for our questions for today. But before we close out, let's wind down. Let's finish up our gummy bears. Let's sit back. Let's remember those who have come before us as we toss another log onto the funeral pyre. Today's funeral pyre was submitted by Peter K. via email. And Peter says, I played Penta, a dark elf barbarian in the Mines of Phandelver campaign. Penta and I quickly became the leader of the group, mostly because I was the only player with any experience. Our group had a lot of fun and some very extreme moments, such as catching the wizard leader of an evil gang that controlled most of the town. We did not hand the wizard in to the guards. Instead, we took him to the town square. Penta held a speech about freedom and the new things to come in the town. After that, our dwarf fighter took at least 5 swings with his sword before he managed to cut off the wizard's head. Public execution.
Right.
But the reasons I'm writing into the funeral pyre is because of the way our group ended. We fought the final boss and the whole group fell to 0 HP, except for Penta. He finally killed the boss, but it was too late to save all of his friends. Our bard was dead, and the 2 other members of the group were at 2 failed death saving throws. So Penta had to decide who to save first.
Oh, no.
Penta managed to save the gnome rogue, but the dwarf fighter failed his next roll.
Oh, no.
So Peter says this one goes out to Borf and Eggy.
Oh, no.
May you rest in peace.
Borf and Eggy.
Clink. Borf is such a good name.
Yeah.
And
Thwip and Buff.
Thwip and Buff,
was great.
My Kenku Ranger and his pet wolf.
Yeah, those were good.
So that'll do it for today. To submit questions for us to discuss, items for the Dragon's Horde, or stories for the funeral pyre, please email us at interpartyconflict@gmail.com. For show notes, links to media mentioned on the show, and running lists of questions and magic items, go to interpartyconflict.com. Join the discussion on social media. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/interpartyconflict, on Reddit at r/interpartyconflict, on our Interparty Discord, which I'm going to try to have a better way to get to by next episode, or on Twitter at InPartyConflict for our weekly social media questions. Your answers might end up on the show. Find us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere you download podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, or just tell a friend. If you'd like to support the show, check out the rewards at patreon.com/InterPartyConflict. There's a few different tiers, so anything you can spare, even $1 a month, would go towards making the show better, and you'll get bonus content for it. Jeff, tell us about FriendQuest.
FriendQuest is our YouTube channel where we play video games.
Yes. And speaking of video games, check out my side project, the Arcade Memories Podcast. If you'd like to submit your own childhood memories of going to the arcade, record them or write them to me at arcadememoriespodcast@gmail.com. Also, head over to bit.ly/InterPartyConflict to take a short survey about our show. What you like, what you don't like, etc. And just for taking it, you'll get 2 free printable board games courtesy of Mary and Tom over at hollandspiel.com. And our music is made by Boxcat Games from Nameless the Hackers RPG. So, Jeff, until next time,
don't copy that floppy.
There you go.